for all.
Radio for all.
You are now live with the Humble Prince on Sahara FM Radio. Yeah.
Yep, we're back live with the Humble Prince, Sahara FM Radio. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I think we're having a fantastic show so far. That was a great segment by Tracy Phillips, Entertainment News. Check her out on The Gist every Saturday, or just go to our Sahara Reporters YouTube channel. Again, tonight's show is brought to you by the Law Offices of Burnley Maiwa PC. Please go to their website, www.maiwalaw.com. Also, Umoibo Unite organization in partnership with Jack Kennedy International Namo Worldwide. Please go to their website, www.umoibounite.com. They have a fantastic event coming up next Thursday through Thursday through Sunday next week. It's going to be a fantastic event. You want to get your ticket now. And of course, I've been joined by my graceful guest co-host doing justice, Ruth. Yvonne, which one do you prefer, Yvonne?
I prefer, it doesn't matter.
I like Yvonne.
What do you like, Yvonne? All right, call me Yvonne.
Well, don't ask me what I like. I'm just joking. Yvonne, who is the founder and executive director of Pathfinders Justice Initiative and organizer of Bring Back Our Girls in New York. We're going to have a fantastic callback segment. You guys don't want to miss it. Yvonne is actually going to be joining Adela and I, and we're going to be taking your questions. So we'll look forward to that. But right now, we're joined by stellar guy, very well read. This guy's very well informed as well, and I remember we used to have battles earlier in my Facebook career. This guy used to just go back and forth. Yeah, but you know, he's a great guy overall, and he's here right now. Please welcome to the show Akinyemi Adeshe, who is the coordinator of the Odua National Assembly. Teekay, are you there?
Welcome.
Yes, I am here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The introduction was quite interesting.
Well, I got to let the people, give the people some backdrop. First of all, please say hello to my guest co-host, Evon. She's joining us for the interview.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello, Yvonne.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Right, fantastic. So,
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah, so Akinyemi, so please, real quick, tell us what so you're the coordinator of the Odua National Assembly. Please tell us what that organization is about.
All right. First of all, I would like to be addressed as Teekay Akin because that's what most people know me as.
Okay, no problem.
So there's no confusion between the two. But I'm also Akinyemi Adeshe.
Okay, thank you. I thought I was just trying to be proper. So wait, guys, please, can we change the lower third to Teekay?
Teekay.
Yeah, Teekay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Teekay, go ahead.
The Odua National Assembly is an assembly, just giving you a brief, it's an assembly of people of Odua descendants who are fighting and pushing for the independence of Odua land from Nigeria.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. I also wanted to ask you, let's just get into some news real quick. So first of all, I know, you really wanted to talk about the future of Nigeria and its secession. Give us a little insight into that and what you're talking about.
For me, it's if you look at the state of Nigeria today, we cannot analyze or propose solutions for the problems we face in Nigeria without understanding the background problems.
Okay.
And Nigeria is still a colonial enclave because, and I've asked this question 1,001 times, what have we really gained independence from? Because if we claim we are independent and we still have the same colonial structures vis-a-vis our borders, our economy, our systems, our education, religions, and all those other things, we have not really gained independence. Because if we had been independent, or if we were independent, we would have done away with these same structures and systems. So understanding that Nigeria was formed by the British for the British as a colonial power. And if we claim to have been independent, the Union of Nigeria was not formed by the peoples within Nigeria. So with the system that's still in place, it is hard for the nations within Nigeria to come together and actually make a headway because the systems we're still following are still colonial. So it will be better off for Nigerians themselves, or the so-called Nigerians, to come to a conclusion that this union is not actually working and it will not work because of the foundation that had been set. It was not set on the foundation for the freedom and the independence of the peoples within the area. It was rather formed for the colonial power, which was Britain as of that time. So at this point in time in our history, we have come to a junction where we have to decide and understand that separation is our only hope for the future.
Wow.
All right. So what do you say though to people who feel that we really have bigger fish to fry, right? So okay, maybe ultimately things didn't turn out the way that we all would have liked it to have turned out. But currently we have the situation that we have. So there are people who say, look, things didn't turn out that way, but now we're here. Don't we have bigger fish to fry? We have, issues with national security, youth unemployment. We have issues with corruption. How do we come together as Nigerians, as opposed to now trying to separate, right? Isn't it the time to actually come together and try to forge something collectively rather than trying to break apart, essentially?
Like the president, the problems you mentioned, national security, unemployment, corruption, poverty, and a host of others. These are problems that have been formed. They're fruits from the tree of the whole colonial system. Now, we cannot solve those problems by either coming together and claiming to have bigger fish to fry, because there's no bigger fish to fry than the foundation. If you have a house which is sinking, you will not start fixing the house from the roof or the windows. It would be apt for you to go down to the foundation, rescue the building from the foundation, and once you have been able to lay a better foundation that will withstand the test of time, then you can start building on that. So we cannot solve all these problems. The national security problems, unemployment, corruption, etc. will always continue. They will always be there, because the system in place of today gives room for that system. The system is supposed to produce these problems, and it is doing justice by producing these problems. So we cannot solve the problems without addressing the issue, the underlying factor, the foundation of the problem, which is the so-called Nigerian unity.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems I have with Nigerians, I'm from Edo State, right? So, but one of the biggest problems I have is that we tend to be our tribe first. So I'm Yoruba first, and before I'm Nigerian. I'm Igbo first before I'm Nigerian. And that just causes dissension and division.
Yes.
And so this is, and I understand what he's saying. I do get that. But, I mean, it's, most of the time when you talk to Americans, let's just use Americans, for example, they always say, I'm proud to be an American, right? That's the first thing they say.
You could be from the South, you could be from the East, the North, the West, you're American, but you're right, though. It seems like we lay more association to where to our tribe rather than the country as a whole. And we, it's like we're more loyal to that than the country as a whole. I think we should just all say that we're Nigerian everything. Yeah. Which brings me to my next question, TK. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about Radio Biafra? It's surfacing now, like over 50, 60 years after the war is over. What do you think about Radio Biafra?
Yeah, before I go on to Radio Biafra, I would just like to talk on the last point that was mentioned. Right. And that will have to be with the use of the word tribes. People say we should come together as Nigerian. I don't really understand what being Nigerian means, aside from being from that region called Nigeria. But the point is, if we still think of ourselves as being tribes, for example, the Odua Nation as a people, the Odua Nation has over 60 million people. That population is larger than France, larger than Britain, I think larger than Germany, Portugal, Spain, etc. So the point is, once we start understanding that we have our own right to self-determination as a people, that is the first step, because a Frenchman is a Frenchman, is from France, a Spanish man is from Spain. So why can't an Oduan be from that region? Because the point is, at the end of the day, we will still keep on having conflicts of interest in the union called Nigeria, because the basis of the whole colonial system was based on divide and conquer. So when you keep the people divided, the people keep fighting amongst themselves, and we still have the multinational companies, international multinational companies and governments still controlling the interest within Nigeria. So I think it will be better for Nigeria at this point in time, because if we have been trying this since 1960, and we haven't found a solution to it, everybody has preferred solutions from everything in the book has been preferred, but still we have not been able to achieve anything. We have been going from bad to worse. So it's better we retrace our steps. If we don't know where we're going, it is better to know where we're coming from to understand why we are here today. If we can understand that, then we can prefer solutions and know where we're going in the future. So now, to mention on Radio Biafra.
Go ahead.
Radio Biafra, for me, it's like I called on the show, I think a week ago, and I spoke to the coordinator or the director of the radio program, Nnamdi Kanu. And I told him, because I had issues with the problems where they talked about the hatred for the Yorubas and all that, and we went over that discussion. But I think in all, these people do have a point, because based on the history, they have lost people during the war. They do understand as well that Nigeria is not working. Maybe we might differ on their approach and the ways they're going about it, but the point is you still need to understand what has brought them to that level. If everything were actually working correctly, if everything was rosy, if everything was going on well as it should be, we would not have these claims and these calls for secession as we have today.
Well, it's very interesting that you mentioned Biafra as well, right? Because essentially it sounds like you're promoting, right, is this idea that so the Yorubas can, take their specific section, you have the Igbos in this specific section, but then you have what is essentially evil, right, with Boko Haram in the north of Nigeria and the abduction of the Chibok girls, who a lot of us, and I thank you guys at Sahara too, have been very vocal about advocating for. So, I mean, if ultimately, the country divides into these three separate regions, what's going to happen is that you have a lot of innocent people at the end of the day that are going to suffer the implications of people like, groups like Boko Haram. So what is supposed to happen to those specific people? What is supposed to happen to the Chibok girls who are innocent, victims in all of this?
All right. As for innocent people, even until today in the so-called Nigeria, innocent people are still dying, are still suffering.
Doesn't make it right.
If you look at nations that claim, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it, but that's the reality. Because if we understand the way nature is, it's always the powerful will always be on top, and the less powerful always remain at the bottom. So the point is, what you have to do is try to empower those that are at the bottom, but you cannot do that without the development of these various areas. And with the development of these various areas, like you talk about the north is the least developed part of Nigeria.
Right.
Now, this area in Nigeria, this part of Nigeria is the least developed because they have not been able to tap into the resources that they have, vis-a-vis natural resources and human resources, because they have been relying on the contributions of other parts of Nigeria. Like I was looking at the GDP of Nigeria as of today, majority of it is still 49% of the GDP of Nigeria is contributed by the so-called Yoruba states. So if you have that, and you have that amount of money and that amount of contribution being taken up, usurped, and used for other areas, now people would feel it as being unfair because you cannot solve the problem of the people, like you mentioned, the Chibok girls and the insurgency with Boko Haram in the north. You cannot solve those problems when the system itself is designed to produce the problems.
Wow. I guess that's, we definitely we need to more time for that. I know we're running out of time. Like I said, Teekay is going to be joining us more frequently as we discuss these issues. But I wanted to just move on to some other topics. Real quick, may his soul rest in peace. The Oni of Ife died today. And, a lot of people are saying that, he died in London. What are your thoughts about that?
For me, what I have to say is, as I wrote on my Facebook page, the Oni of Ife, the Arole of Odua, died in a hospital in London.
London, right.
I think that statement alone, that fact alone, we should think about that for a minute and let it sink in. Then when it does, we'll be able to understand what that really means. Because as I say in Yoruba, Oriadeki Sunta, which means the crown head doesn't sleep outside.
Yeah,
but we've had the Arole of Odudua, we died in London. And it boils down as well to what we're talking about with the problem, because if the Yoruba state, or if the same called area called Nigeria had been developed enough, if there had been room for development within that region or within that country, you would not have our monarchs and politicians and rich people or whoever traveling abroad for medical assistance and medical care.
Right. Yeah, it's really, really sad. Real quick, I wanted to ask you about what you thought about General Buhari winning the presidency, and he visited the United States last week, which I thought was a good visit and everything. What are your thoughts around that too? Evon, I'm going to ask you the same question after him too. But what are your thoughts about that, Teekay?
As regards President Buhari visiting the U.S., he actually went. I think one of the main issue why he went to the U.S. was for military assistance and the sale of weapons to Nigeria to counter Boko Haram.
And to fight corruption as well.
On that issue, I would try to break it down in three different points. Now, first of all, before I go into that, if you remember the visit of Obama's visit to Kenya, where he had a discussion with the President Kenyatta.
Right.
And Obama had his whole ideas about speaking about gay rights and all that in Kenya. And the president of Kenya mentioned, and he says the issue of gay rights is a non-issue, or is the least of the problems that they have, I'm paraphrasing here, that Kenyans do have. But the point is, at the end of the day, when you understand that topic, you will now ask yourself a question. If he thinks, or if African governments think, that the gay issues or the gay rights issue is a non-issue, is the least of our problems, then why do senators and the government spend so much time and money trying to criminalize or actually criminalizing homosexuality?
Very good
If
point.
it's not a priority, why aren't they focused on what the priorities are, which are economic problems, social problems, education, and the whole lot of that? But for President Buhari visiting the United States, now one thing I would say on that is, the first thing is, if his government, if people on his team had done their homework very well, they would have understood, based on precedent, that the United States doesn't give military assistance to countries that so, quote unquote, violate human rights.
Right.
There's this law called the
Leahy Law.
Yeah.
Right.
the Leahy Law. So it surprises me that nobody in his government, in his cabinet, has been able or had been able to research into that and understand that before packing the whole group of people, going to the United States and embarrassing themselves, asking for assistance when they should have known that assistance is not going to be given. Because if the homework has been done well, they would not have even brought that up. Now, if they understood that, then what options do they have? One of the options would have been for the Nigerian government itself to start developing its own weapons to counter the insurgency.
Or go to China.
Thirdly,
Russia,
exactly.
Right?
Go to China, Russia, and North Korea, countries that don't really place that kind of law against the so-called violation of human rights.
Right.
And finally on that issue, for me it's a bit hypocritical when the United States talks about violation of human rights. You know, a country that was founded on the dehumanization and the slavery of Africans for 400 years, the genocides of the Native Americans and the stealing of their lands, and the constant murdering of African Americans in the country by the police and by the system.
I don't want to say we moved past that, but for another day. Yeah, definitely. Teekay, thank you so much. Due to time constraints, like you and I spoke, you definitely have to join us for future shows, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about, and definitely I think you have a lot of stuff that you like to share. So real quick before you go, please, is there anybody you want to acknowledge or just give a shout out to, and what can we expect coming up from Teekay and the Odua National Assembly? Yeah.
As far as shouts out concerned, I don't really
Shout out to your mom. I mean,
my mom, she's passed away.
Oh,
she's
sorry.
passed away.
So,
you can shout out Humble Prince.
No, I would like to thank everybody that has tuned in today to listen to the show, to listen to me speak here, and also to people that are working towards the independence of the Odua land. I would like to acknowledge their efforts and their contributions towards the revolution that we're working on. And as for the Odua National Assembly, what we're doing is we're working towards getting ourselves organized on ground as an on-ground movement to push our ideas using any means necessary to achieve our goals.
Thank you very much, man. And I got to say, man, like I said earlier before you came on the show, earlier, man, I like that your tone is not as condescending as it used to be, because when this guy would come for people on Facebook, man, I'm like, yo, go get some ass, man. Chill out a little bit. But yeah, let's give Teekay a round of applause, please.
Thanks for joining us.
What did you say? Say that again?
I said I'm getting my own share. I'm getting my share.
Fantastic, man. Wow. So there you have it, guys. Teekay, aka Akinyemi Adishia, coordinator of the Odua National Assembly, and he's going to be joining us for future shows, and we're going to be having great discussions. And what did you think about that, Evon? Discussion.
About his
just his whole idea and everything.
I mean, I definitely disagree.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah. I think that was very clear, but obviously he's entitled to
his opinion.
To his opinion, and I respect that. Yes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to deal with the problem at hand. And to me, separating and prioritizing one's interest over another, where at the end of the day, the person who the people who suffer the most are the ones who are completely powerless, doesn't advance Nigeria at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, we'll see. To be honest, I don't think Nigeria's. They've been calling for that Nigeria should divide.
Yeah.
Divide already. You know, I'm here in the United States. What do I care? No, I'm just joking. Yeah. But Evon, thank you so much. So we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Dr. Oluyemi A. Olawaye, who is the president and founder of Iloto African Children's Foundation, and we're going to be discussing issues pertaining to the African children and the role of Africans, especially Nigerians, in the lives of the indigent. Also, real quick, I just want to make an announcement real quick. She was a guest on the show like 2 weeks ago. Her name is Kanyisola Karis. Check her out on Facebook. This girl is a gospel singer, and her music is just amazing and so uplifting. I listen to it a lot when I go running in the morning. So for more information, please go to www.carisonmymind.com. Caris is spelled CHARIS. ONMYMIND.com. We'll try to get that on the screen too. Her music is going to be coming up too. This song, in this day and time, man, with all the stuff going on in the world, we need good music, man. Gospel music, not all this rap stuff by Drake and Mick Mills. Who cares if they're beefing anyway? You know what I'm saying? But we're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. Evon, good stuff, man. Thank you so much. Yeah.